Hello, it's Sheridan from Nexajob, and my website is www.nexajob.com.au, and that's Nexajob. Was inspired by the name of being your next job. So, welcome to my channel. I provide a lot of tips on resumes and job interview techniques. I'm a generalist recruiter. That means I deal with mostly white collar in all different professions, and I've been a executive recruiter for over 13 years, so I've got lots and lots of experience. So today, what I'd like to talk about is some highlighted areas. I'll go into detail a little bit of the different areas that I'm going to talk about, but it's just an overall summary. So if you're finding it a little bit challenging finding work in your area, then this might sort of assist. So the best job interview tips and resume tips that I have. So basically, if you're not, the first point that I will say, if you're not being invited in for a job interview, it's all to do with your resume or your profile in LinkedIn. So what I would do is either pay for someone to have a look at your resume, to redo your resume. There's several people that I've spoken to that have variations of a resume. So say, for instance, if you are a project officer, but you could also be an administrator, as well as a few other areas. You've got a resume ready to go for each of these different areas. So as you can see that you're really tailoring that, bringing out or embellishing your skills based on the position that you're going for. So that would be my first pointer. If you're not getting invited in for an interview, remember you're up against hundreds and, literally hundreds of people per application. So if you're not being invited in, it's all to do with your resume, obviously your skills and everything like that. But just saying, if you say, for instance, put out 20 to 40 applications out and you're not receiving one invitation for a job interview, then there is something definitely wrong with your resume. So my recommendation is have somebody to have a look at it, have an external party have a look at it, even invest in, spending between $80 and $200 on having it redone, or there's other external places that could do it for much cheaper. So I'm sure you can probably find that out online. So that would definitely be my number one tip. So and just some of those areas, does your resume outline all the key areas for the job? That's really important in the skills summary on the first page of a resume, to really bring out those technical skills, not the soft skills, such as, I'm a warm and bubbly person. I like to work in a team. I am a fantastic team player. Boring. We as recruiters do not want to hear that. We want to be the judge of that when we meet up with you. So the technical skills on your key summary on your first page really need to be something like 5 years experience in a sales area, experience in particular systems, those type of, when I say technical skills, that's what I mean. I want that. I don't want fluff. So to the point, and the best marketing for you. Your resume really is a marketing tool. Make sure it marries up, or it relates exactly what LinkedIn presents. If you've got a LinkedIn profile, if you choose to have a LinkedIn profile. So there's a few little tips. Let's go into some of the areas that, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I think it's a fantastic platform. It's not a Facebook, it's a professional, it's almost like a professional Facebook profile. So it really, you can connect to a lot of people in the industry. You can reach out, you can message people. It has a quick snapshot of you. Definitely put a photo in there. It's nothing worse than not having a photo, but we're visual people. We want to see what you look like, and make sure the picture is professional. It's not a Facebook photo of you going camping, or going on the highest mountain, or that sort of thing. Shirt, collar, tie, dress it up. We want to see pretty professional type of shots. So so that would be my second tip. The next one is that I would definitely try and register with about 5 to 10 agencies, but not just any agencies. There are several hundred agencies per town or state, and you really want to focus on those recruitment agencies that deal with a particular area. Now, behind the scenes in a recruitment agency, we go out to business, a tender, we apply for tenders, we win business, we become preferred suppliers for that particular industry or company, such as state government or federal government or local government. These are behind the scenes in a recruitment agency. What's not clear is what are those agencies that are connected to those clients. Well, I think it's just, you're going to just have to research on Seek or other platforms. If you're not in Australia, this is an Australian platform, seek.com.au, but I'm sure there's other platforms overseas that it will be a similar arrangement. So you're just going to have to look on those platforms, see which agencies are advertising, say for instance local government or state government, then you know that they've probably got some sort of arrangement with them. So you want to try, and it's not usually just one, it's usually probably, if it's a large tender, it would be something between 8 to 10 agencies. So you want to try and register with some of those agencies. It's really hard to get in the front door of our recruitment agencies, but if you can get registered with 5, you establish good relationship with the consultant. A lot of jobs are not advertised. So a recruiter will generally look at what they've got on their database and who they've met, who they've registered, and reach out to those people before they would advertise in some circumstances, especially for more the contract temporary type of positions. So another one is really don't have any silly email addresses on your resume. I see just hundreds of really, really ridiculous email addresses. It really puts me off as a recruiter because I just don't think that they're going to be professional in some of the roles that I've got. And some of them, can be things like I am a princess, or princess I am, or, dig a little deeper, or, at Hotmail. All those sort of things just really bring up red flags for me. So have that email address, but use it as a really personal one, not as one connected to trying to find work, and you're trying to create a professional profile. And some of those email, they're probably not very good examples, but some of those email addresses are really off-putting to clients and to recruitment agencies. So just set up one separately, and it's easy to do, as you know, and maybe just use that one for your job interview. So that's a couple of tips there. With regards to going in, if you're invited into a job interview, some of the really, really key areas is, make sure you research their website, look at the latest news. Are they listed on the stock exchange? Who is the major shareholders? Who is the CEO? How many people in their company? Look up all of that information before you go into the job interview, because you will get asked, what do you know about a company? And, some of the great responses would be, okay, I understand that you're a listed company, you've got 10 locations around the world, approximately 500 staff or 2,000 staff. That just really shows to the interview panel that you've taken the time to actually really research their organisation. So do that. That is a must. You go in there and you come blank when they ask you, what do you know about our organisation? You will not progress. In fact, the interview would be pretty much over, and they would just be polite in terms of doing a full interview with you, but it will be very brief, and they probably won't even go into behavioural interviews. So you'll really stuff up the interview if you do not research their company. So some of the most frequent interview questions asked in a job interview, I'm going to list these out for you, and then I'll go back to some of the areas that I've mentioned. Tell me about yourself. Why have you applied for the position? What do you know about our organisation? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Tell me in your own words, why would you suit this position? Can you tell me a time when you've used good logic to solve a problem? Describe a time when you've dealt with a difficult customer and what did you do? Tell me about a time you've made improvements to your work environment. Now, these are the key ones. There could be variations of this. There's a mixture of technical and also behavioural interviews. And you're probably thinking, whoa, what's the difference between a technical question and a behavioural question? Well, the difference is a behavioural question will always be starting off with, tell me about a time, describe a time, and it's always going into the past. And what they will believe is that will determine your behaviour in the future. So make sure you've got some really good examples for that. So say, for instance, describe a time when you've dealt with a difficult customer and what did you do? So that is a prime behavioural question. So what you'd like to probably do is write out in bullet points. In your mind, you'll be thinking, okay, I remember a time when I dealt with this difficult customer that came into the shop and wanted a refund, and it was clearly used. So you'd be thinking, you'd want to sort of say to the panel, this is the situation, and then you'd go into, okay, what actions did I do? Make sure you use the word I, not we. I spoke with the customer and clearly outlined that our return policy is that it must not be worn, and said very sorry, that this has happened. Or if there was a fault, we'll take it up with management. I'll take down your details and take all the information, and the result would be the customer was happy with this result. So that's a really brief outline of a behavioural question and relating to that question. Going back to things like tell me a bit about yourself, you can put whatever. No, it's not a wrong or right answer here. So say, for instance, if someone said that to me in an interview, I would probably say, I have grown up in this particular suburb. I'm originally from here, and my family's here. I have travelled around the world, and I love certain places, and I'm really interested in this position. It really connects with where I'm at in life. So there's no wrong or right here. Why have you applied for this position? Well, that's going to be very easy. Just tell it in your own words. What are your strengths? This is always the hardest. Your strengths and weaknesses are always hard. One, try and think of it in a third person. What would your ex-manager say about your strengths or weaknesses? I know if someone said that to me, what are your key strengths? My key strengths are I connect really well with people. I build up rapport really easily. I'm an excellent hard worker, and all of my managers will bow to that. They will say in their own words that I'm a dedicated, reliable, top achiever. My weaknesses are clearly it's my administration. I have it all in my head and don't necessarily put it into, but it's a work in progress, and I have learned to really focus on that to turn it into a strength. So can you see it's really clear to the point and excellent sort of verbal answers. So that's a really brief area in the interview. You really need to have a good system where some of those examples speak, maybe even grab a notebook. If you blank out, like I've seen many people blank out in a job interview, that and it's been really hard to draw out that information. I know that information's in that person, but it's taken me very, very different angles to try and draw out that information, and it comes out in the end, but it's hard work getting that information, but I persist with that. But that's not always going to be the case in a job interview. The panel will have specific questions. They're going to keep it very clean and very simple for each candidate to really make it a equal process. So if you blank out in a job interview technique, you want to probably write some answers write out, maybe print out the general job interview questions, write out your answers. When you're invited into a job interview, ask if it's okay, you've got a notepad, and maybe just say to them, I don't do well in job interview, and I've got some information that I can relate to. Everyone's going to relate to you because you're being honest, you're being truthful, and if you and it's better to say that, because if you do go blank, they just probably think that you've got some sort of unusual way about yourself. If you're communicating with them, look, it's not my key strength in job interview techniques. I've got some references here that can say that I'm an excellent worker and have some of your answers here. Then that's going to be definitely a win-win situation for you and for the panel to get to know you. So definitely another tip to bring that notebook in there with those, especially around those behavioural techniques. Have an example, what you did, and have the result. And just remember, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So for the right opportunity, it usually just works out really well, and you have that really good gut feeling about the opportunity, and usually they would too. So if for some reason you're not successful, ask for feedback. They might say, look, you didn't give good enough examples in your job interview. So where are you going to work on next for the next job interview? You're going to work on your answers. You're going to use that feedback and you're going to use it to be better in the next one. So definitely ask for that feedback. If you've gone in for an interview, they owe it to you to give you that feedback. So ask for it. Some other areas too, because I've interviewed well over 1 million people. Be yourself in an interview. You relate better to your audience. If you're nervous, say you're nervous. And also, when people have done that, it makes a massive difference to how they are. Because I've interviewed a lot of nervous people and they shut down their communication and they come across quite cold. And I've actually gone to the next step and I've said, hey, are you nervous being in this interview? And they've said yes. And when they've communicated that, they have been themselves and relaxed in the interview. But how about you take it to the next step? How about you say that you're nervous and sorry, I am very nervous at interviews, and it relaxes some part of you that you're able to really relate better to your audience once you've done that. So just do it. Be brave, do it, and it'll make a massive difference, and you really will relax and probably answer those questions and relate to your audience better. So another area is if you're a talker and you get nervous when you talk, and I've seen many people do this, they're nervous, they just want to talk and talk really fast. Make sure you slow down that pace. Make sure you're taking some breaths. Make sure that you're not taking over the interview, that you're specifically answering those questions. And that's why it's good to have that notebook. Relate to that notebook with your questions and answers if you are one of those really talk people, because those talk people will take over control of the interview, and you'll completely lose the audience, and it'll be running around in circles. And a good recruiter will come back and obviously try and take back control of the interview and ask specific questions to get specific answers. And if you're doing this roundabout talkathon, you have just lost the interview. So make sure you keep it specific, to the point. Don't take control over the interview, and make sure you, when you come to the end of answering your question, be silent so that the panel can take back control of the interview process. So, the interview panel will be identifying whether you're a good fit to the team. So your personality really needs to come out. So be yourself. Answer the questions in I, not we did this, because you lose power when you say we did this. I did this as an improvement. I did this. I won a top award. Blah blah blah. Those sort of things. So anyway, there's some very, very brief top tips that I've got to improve your resume and your job interview techniques and your profile. Hope you enjoyed that. I do have other videos in this series under Next the Job. And so good luck in the interview process. Okay, thank you. Bye.